Hello, Biology 100 students. My name is Greg Doheny and I'll be your instructor for this course. This little slideshow is not meant to give you any information about human biology. It's actually just meant to teach you how to, or explain to you how to navigate your way around the course website and what you're expected to do, and some information that will help you get a head start on the course. Okay, so this pertains to the FLEX version of the course, which is different than the hybrid version of the course. If you're watching this, you're registered in the FLEX2 section, and I will begin to explain how the course works. All right, so just some information to begin with. My name is Greg Doheny. That's me there. Some of you might have had me for classes before. If so, welcome back. If you've never had me for a class before, welcome. My email address is gdoheny@columbiacollege.ca. If you want to email me, please use your Columbia College email address, because if you send me an email from any other server like Google or Gmail or Yahoo or anything like that, it will probably go to my spam folder. It will be automatically sent to my junk mail folder, and I won't receive your letter. So please use your Columbia College email address, and also check your Columbia College email address at least once a day, preferably a couple of times a day, because I often send mass emails to the class to make announcements and things like that, and I'm sure the other instructors do the same. So make sure that you use and check your Columbia College email daily. Okay, and you can talk to me during my office hours, which are Monday from 4 to 5 p.m. and also Monday 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. Now, the reason why the odd office hours at 11 o'clock at night are because this course is designed for students who may be overseas. They may be in another country in a different time zone, and so 11 p.m. Vancouver time may very well be 11 in the morning in their country. So I hold two office hours. One is for local students in Vancouver, and one is for students who are in other time zones overseas, but you're welcome to attend either office hour. In order to attend the office hour, by the way, attending the office hour is optional, not mandatory. But if you'd like to talk to me in person, we can do so over the internet, over the computer camera. But you'll have to use a program called Microsoft Teams to do it, and I will explain how that works in a minute. All right, so in order to get started in the course, you simply go to the Columbia College website, which you've probably been to already, www.columbiacollege.ca, and then you log in, and then you are in the website. Now, before I go any further, I should explain that this talk that I'm giving here pertains only to the lecture or theoretical part of the course, which is worth 75% of your mark. There is a lab section to the course which is separate from this, and it's taught by another instructor named Dr. Onkar Baines. This is Onkar over here. And Onkar will probably be contacting you separately, and he also has a separate page on the Moodle website, which I'll explain to you what that means in a minute. So just bear in mind that this talk is only meant to explain how the lecture portion of the course works. The lecture portion of the course is worth 75%. The lab section is worth 25%. You should be aware that if you fail either the lecture section or the lab section, you will fail the course. You have to pass both the lab and the lecture in order to pass the course. So in the lab, half of 25% is 12.5%, so you have to get at least 12.5 out of the 25% that's allotted for the lab in order to pass the course. The same thing is true for the lecture section. You have to get at least half of the 75% in order to pass the lecture section. All right, now in order to do this course over the internet, because we're restricted by COVID lockdowns, we're delivering this course over the internet. In order to work within the course and to have access to all the learning and testing materials, you'll need to use three computer programs. The first program is called CAMS. The CAMS program is simply for keeping track of your grades and your registration status and so on. In order to get into the CAMS program, you simply go to the Columbia College website and log in where it says login, student login rather. And then you are officially in the CAMS computer program. You don't have to log into that program especially. When you log into the Columbia College website, you are in the CAMS program. All right, now the main computer program that you'll be using to learn in this course is called Moodle. Moodle is what's known as a classroom management system. It is a computer program that puts all of the learning materials for the course onto a website, a single web page with links on it. And so what you're going to do is you go to the Columbia College website, and instead of logging into the CAMS website, you log into the Moodle window instead on the Columbia College website, and it will take you to a list of all of your courses. All of your courses are in Moodle. Then you simply click on Biology 100 and you're into the Moodle page for this course. And on that page you simply scroll downwards and it will explain everything from there, and you read it, it will explain everything, and it will tell you each week what you're supposed to be doing, because there'll be a little schedule visible that lists each week what you're supposed to do, and it gives you a link to the place where you're going to do it. So if it's a lecture, it gives you a little link that takes you to the lecture. The lectures, by the way, are what are known as voiceover PowerPoint presentations. So I'm showing you a slideshow and narrating it. So you watch the lectures by clicking on the links. And then you can look at the slides separately by clicking on some other links. And then there are some other links for a test. And we will have a test every Tuesday plus some other days as well. And if you click on the link for the test, it will take you to the test site, and then you'll log into the test site and start taking a test. All right, so that's the Moodle website, which is the main website that you will use to interact with this course. You only really need to look at the CAMS website to check your marks and to see which courses you're registered in, and if there is any problem with your registration or anything like that. The third program is called Microsoft Teams, which allows teachers and students to interact over the internet using the cameras on their computers and on their phones. It's sort of like Zoom. Many of you are familiar with Zoom, but Microsoft Teams is better because it affords more privacy. Only students at Columbia College can actually access it. So you might have heard of this thing called Zoom bombing, where people come and they break into a Zoom meeting and they disrupt the meeting. That's called Zoom bombing. We don't have any of that happening at Columbia College because we don't use Zoom for most of the lecture things. We just use the Teams for interacting with the students, and only registered students at Columbia College can get access to the Teams for Columbia College. So I've attached a separate document which teaches you how to get the Microsoft Teams program. You have to have access to the Microsoft Teams program. If you don't have it loaded on your computer or your phone already, then you can get it from the college. I advise you to take this course using a computer, and indeed take all courses at Columbia using a computer rather than a phone. Phone is convenient, but it's not very big, and also it has some limitations relative to a computer, so it's very hard to type on the phone. You have to use your thumbs. You can type a lot faster, and you can do things a lot faster on a computer. So I advise you very strongly to have a laptop computer to do this course, and if you don't have one, contact the college administrators, because Columbia College has a loan program which allows our students to buy a computer. So you should have a proper computer in order to take online courses, and indeed for your whole university and college career you should have a proper computer. So Columbia College, if you do not have one already, Columbia College has a loan program where you borrow the money to buy a computer from Columbia, and then you pay Columbia back at 0 interest or something like that. I believe it's 0 interest. All right, so these are the 3 programs that you'll need. As I said, you simply go to the Columbia College website, www.columbiacollege.ca, and then underneath the pull-down menu marked Login, you have all of these options. If you simply log in using the student portal, you are in the CAMS program. If you log in using the Moodle portal, you will be in the Moodle program, and it will show you a list of all the courses, and then that's where you would get your resources for learning. That's where you would get access to the lectures and the notes and so on. So if you log into your student portal, you get something that looks kind of like this. They want your username and your password, and then you push login, and then you're into the CAMS program by default. On the other hand, if you click on the Moodle login site, it will take you here, and so again you use your username and your password, and then you click login, and then you're into the you are into the Moodle web page. Your Moodle homepage gives you a list of the courses that you're registered in, so you would click on this one, Biology 100 Flex 2, and that will take you into the homepage for this course. At the top of the homepage, you will see this picture, which is a drawing of a human being by Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci, of course, is one of the famous Renaissance Italian scientists and artists who was one of the first people to make a systematic study of the human body, specifically the human anatomy. A lot of places in the world had already studied medicine, but they hadn't really made a systematic study of the human body. So Leonardo da Vinci was one of the first people to do that. And then all you have to do from here is just read downwards. Just start scrolling down the page and reading, and it will tell you everything that you need to know about how to complete this course. So just start reading, start scrolling down the page and reading. And for each week, there will be a little schedule that tells you what to do. So let's say in week 4, for example, don't pay too much attention to this because this is from your schedule will look slightly different. But the course is organized according to weeks. We have 13 weeks of classes plus 1 week of exams. So week 1 through 13 are instructional, and then week 14 is simply the final exam week. So during week 4, this one is telling you, this particular schedule is telling you that we'll be studying the human skeletal system. Those are the bones. And it gives you a brief introduction to what the skeletal system is, and then it gives you a list of things to do this week, what you're supposed to do this week. Right, so then you see that there's some blue texts, right? Those are links. So here it says Lecture 6 Part 1. If you click on that blue link, it will take you to a YouTube video. If you click on this thing here, Quiz 3, it will take you to the quiz for that week. You're supposed to, generally we do a quiz every week, as you might have read in the earlier letter. All right, so the blue texts are links. If you click on this particular one, it takes you to a lecture, which is a voiceover PowerPoint presentation where I am narrating slides. Right, so this is what it looks like when it takes you to that link. Now notice that these videos are stored on YouTube. I actually recommend that you click on Watch on YouTube, so it will take you to the YouTube site away from the Moodle site, but you can get back to the Moodle site, but it will take you to the YouTube site, which actually has more features to help you view the video. So if you click on that, it'll take you to the YouTube website for that video in particular, right? And you get a larger screen, and you also have more options. Down here, these 3 dots mean that you have more options. Now if you click on those 3 dots, one of the options that you have is to open the transcript. And that means that YouTube has been kind enough to provide a written transcript of everything I'm saying. So that's helpful because if I'm speaking too fast and you're having trouble understanding, and students tell me I do that a lot, I speak too fast frequently, you can simply watch the video twice, or you can rewind the video and watch the part that you didn't understand for a second time. But you can also turn on the transcript and you can read instead of just listening. So the transcript is one of the features that you can turn on where these 3 dots are. Right, so you can turn on the transcript. Over here on the right is what the transcript looks like. So as I'm speaking, YouTube is providing a simultaneous translation. All right, so we also do a quiz every week on Thursdays. Because you are a member of the Flex section, you can write the quiz anytime on Thursday. Once you start writing it, a timer will appear that says you only have 30 minutes to finish. So make sure that you've studied before you take the quiz. The quizzes are only worth 1% each, but I recommend that you take the quizzes because they're good practice. The more practice you have on taking tests, and the more practice, memorizing things and jamming a bunch of knowledge into your head is one thing, but it's useless unless you can recall the information that you've remembered. So that's one of the purposes of quizzes. So we'll have 10 of these quizzes during the year. They're only worth 1% each, but at least you will get some good practice in retrieving the information that you've memorized. Learning biology in the first 1 or 2 years is a lot like learning a foreign language. Many of you have learned a foreign language and you did it systematically. You know how you did it. You wrote down lists of words, and then you closed your eyes and tried to reproduce that list from from memory, and then you write down a list of words and what they mean, and then you close your eyes and you try to recall that list from memory, and then you open your eyes and you see if you were correct. And if you missed 2 out of 10 words, then you put those 2 words into a new list and you throw away the other 8 that you remember now, and then you learn 10 new words, including the 2 that you got wrong from last time, and you can continue doing that. And in fact, in this course, I've given you a vocabulary to look up words at the end of each chapter that you read from the textbook, and that is sort of like learning a foreign language. Now, obviously, biology is not like that all the time. If you are a biologist, you don't spend your time constantly learning the meaning of new words. You spend your time experimenting and making observations and so on. But you can imagine that if you went to university to study French, for instance, your first year French class, you would mostly be learning the meaning of French words, or Greek words if you were studying Greek. But when you got to the PhD level or the master's degree level, you would not still be learning the meaning of words because you'd know what they all mean. You'd be studying French literature or French history or something like that, and that is very exciting. Same thing is true for biology. The first 2 years is learning a lot of new words that represent concepts in a science. Biology is a science. So the first two years when you're doing this seem rather boring, and then in 3rd year and 4th year it starts to get more interesting, and then when you go on to graduate school it gets even more interesting still, or if you do it for a living it's very interesting. But don't judge biology too harshly by the boring first year courses, because all first year courses are sort of boring. All right, so we will do a quiz every week to test our knowledge and also to help us consolidate our knowledge. Right? And so if you click on this link, notice that the quiz link will not open until Thursday. You can't write the test earlier or later. If you fail to finish writing the test on time, don't worry, because the computer will automatically save whatever answers you did answer. Right? So you missed some of the questions, you won't get a mark for those, but the answers that you did answer will be saved. Okay. Okay, so when you click on a quiz link like this, it gives you the date that the quiz will open, and then it gives you the date that the quiz will close. So you can't click on this button until the pre-assigned time. As soon as you start the quiz, it will take you inside, and most of the quizzes that I'm giving are multiple choice questions and short answer questions. All right, so let's take a look at typical quiz questions. Okay, so here I have a multiple choice question. It's asking me what type of microscope image is this? These are bacteria, by the way. And then I've deliberately given the wrong answer here. I said this is a confocal laser scanning image, which it's not. And then after you've completed the test, the next day you can go back and you can see what the correct answers actually are. So the next day I go back and I see that I answered this question wrong, but the correct answer was SEM, this one. Right. Now, every week you have a quiz. I advise you to go back the following day and check to make sure to find out which answers you got right and which answers you got wrong, because these questions will reappear on future quizzes, perhaps even on the final exam. Okay, but be careful, because the quiz will not be available for you to review indefinitely. In fact, the quiz will disappear the following Wednesday. So there's a reason for that. It's just that we don't want to have students have the ability to look at previous quizzes while they're writing another quiz, because then that would be cheating, basically. So the quizzes will all disappear the following Wednesday. So make sure that you've checked to see what the right answers are, and then before the quiz disappears. All right, so this is a look at what we're going to do every week. So every week we watch 1 or more videos. There's a link on the page to each video. This is mandatory. It is not optional. You must watch the video. If you want to see the slides that I was talking about without having to listen to all the narration, listening to the narration takes a long time. Maybe you just want to see the text. You want to make notes about the text. Well, you also have the option of looking at the slides without the narration. So that is on each week's schedule as well. I assign you some chapters to read in the textbook. There's a free textbook that you can download from the internet. Reading that textbook is optional. It's not compulsory. The reason for that is because most of the information, most of the questions that I'm going to ask you on the exams come from the lecture material, not from the book. If you still don't understand after watching the lecture, you can read the book to get a better understanding. Sometimes there's some people who learn things better by reading than by listening, and there's some people, I'm a person who learns better by listening than by reading. So for me, I wouldn't be reading the book, I would be listening to the lectures and making notes. Some people do it the other way around. So the book is there to help you get more information if you want, but it's not required. I should remind you that this my tests only refer to the lecture part of the course. So Dr. Baines is going to do different tests for the lab section of the course, including a lab, including a lab test at the end of the semester. Okay, so consult with Dr. Baines about what to do for the lab. All right, so I also assign you some practice problems from the textbook. Those are optional, but I recommend you do them because they're good practice. And this is very important. I give you a list of words to learn, and the quickest way you can look up what those words mean is to read the vocabulary section in the textbook, which is at the end of every chapter. So finally, we have a place where you can look up a use that is not optional. It's compulsory to use the textbook. So I would use the textbook definitely to look up the meaning of all the vocabulary words that I give you to learn. Okay, you also have the option of attending the Microsoft Teams office hour. You can talk to me face-to-face. That's optional, not compulsory. You can email me if you have a question as well. We also have a questions forum on the Moodle site where you can leave questions in public for everyone to see, and then I will answer those questions in public. It's handy if you do that because sometimes a lot of the other students have the same questions. So if I answer your question in writing, then they will see the answer as well. So that's handy. Okay, every week you have to complete a lab exercise. This is not optional, it's compulsory. Every lab exercise is worth a couple of marks. You'll have to talk to Dr. Baines about that. He will organize the lab section. It will also be delivered online. And then another thing, we will do a quiz every week. This is the FLEX course, so that means that sometime between 12 a.m. and 11 p.m. on Thursday, you have to complete the quiz for that week in 30 minutes. Once you start the quiz, you can start the quiz anytime you want, but once you've started it, a timer starts running, which gives you only 30 minutes to complete it. Right, so anyone can complete a quiz and get a straight A mark if they're given an indefinite amount of time. That's why we never do that. We always give people a set amount of time. If you know the material well, you can answer all the questions correctly in the amount of time you have. If you don't know the material well, you may not be able to finish the quiz, or you may not be able to finish the quiz and get all the questions right. And so that's basically the way we divide A students from C students, for example. We divide outstanding students, separate outstanding students from average students. Okay, so that's what we'll do every week. Now, the quizzes you can do anytime on Thursday, but the midterm and the final exam are more important. So how do we go about doing that? We can't have one person writing the midterm, which is worth 20% of your grade. We can't have one student writing it at midnight and then telling their friend what was on it, writing it at 12 a.m. and then telling their friends what was on it so their friends can go and study those things. So it's more important that we write the midterm exam and the final exam at exactly the same time. So what we're going to do during the semester is I will find out where everybody's living and find out how many people are living overseas in a different time zone, and then we will all agree. We will have a discussion, and we will all agree on which time of the day and on which day of the week and which time of the day everybody will be available. So that's how we'll do that. We'll organize that as the course goes on. All right, so just to break down the grades, 10% of your mark comes from these 10 weekly quizzes worth 1% each. There will be a pre-midterm exam that's worth 5%. That exam will take place in week 5, and it will cover all the material up to and including week 4 in the lecture. Then the midterm, the purpose for the pre-midterm is to give you an idea of what the midterm will look like. The only difference between the pre-midterm and the midterm is that the midterm, we're all writing it at the same time, and it is twice as long as the pre-midterm, and it's worth a lot more of your grade. It's worth 20% of your grade instead of 5%. And then the final exam is worth 40%. We're all going to write that on the same day. It's on a date that will be announced in the future by the college. Okay. And the lab section of the course is worth 25% and includes a lab exam at the end of the year, and Dr. Baines will organize that part of the course. All right, so I hope to see you very soon on the Moodle page. And try getting into the Moodle page and start listening and watching the lectures and start studying the material. And good luck. I hope you learned something from the course. I hope you enjoy it. I know that some of you are actually interested in human biology, whereas others of you are just taking the course because they need it as an elective, and that's perfectly all right. I took a lot of courses that I was when I was a student, I took a lot of courses that I wasn't the least bit interested in. I took them because I had to. That's the nature of being a student. But once I took them, even though I had no interest in them, I gained knowledge that I needed for my career. So it's a good thing that I took them, but I just didn't happen to, I wouldn't have taken them if I was free to choose. Anyway, but I hope that you do learn something and find something interesting, find out something interesting, and I will see you on the Moodle page. Good luck and happy learning.